Hello and good morning, friends. Today I want to talk to you about something very important when it comes to purchasing a home for investment, to fix and flip, or fix and rent. This particular person had a huge mistake that ended up costing them tens of thousands of dollars, and I don't want you to end up in that same situation. Let's get into it. You may be wondering, well, what did this guy do, right? What could possibly have been so bad that they ended up wasting and losing so much money on this project? Well, so they purchased this home. It was a 1960s rancher up in the middle of Western Maryland. We were up in the mountains, right? Nothing super crazy, super common situation, right? This house was a full gut job renovation. They did a really good job. However, they knew that they should have had somebody locate the septic prior to work. They forgot, or their general contractor didn't remind them, and they went ahead and finished the project anyway. And then, lo and behold, they have a buyer that wants to purchase the home, and they find that the tank is actually underneath of the driveway that was just freshly repaved. Yep, they put their driveway right on top of the tank with no access caps whatsoever, and that tank was about 5 feet below the surface. So how did we get in this situation? Well, when they purchased the home, right, there was no county records, which shame on the county, but 1960s, everything was done on paper, and sometimes those records get lost to time and they just get lost in the ether. It happens quite a bit, especially in that time period in Western Maryland. You should never trust the records. They're almost always wrong, right? You got to kind of sit there and do your due diligence and look for yourself to see where stuff's at. So they didn't have any records. They had no idea where anything was. So they started knocking on the doors for the neighboring properties. Now, there were about 5 houses that were on this street. It was a very small little wooded community surrounded by a bunch of farms. So they knock on the doors, and the neighbor, real nice old gentleman, tells them, hey, your septic's out back. You go right off the porch about 20 foot off the corner. It's right there, and your drain fields are right off back beyond that. Well, unfortunately, he was wrong, right? They took this neighbor's word at where things were, had the contractors do their thing. They put in the driveway. Now, this driveway was quite a large pad because what they ended up doing was they bumped up the size of the home. They wanted to make it a little bit larger, so basically it went from a 2-bed to a 4-bed house, which should have had a septic increase, but that's a whole nother conversation for a whole nother day. So we go out there to locate this tank because their original inspector couldn't find it. They had no idea where this thing was. And usually if somebody says they can't find the tank, my immediate thought is, all right, let's just go through the sewer pipe and just run the camera, use the camera locator, and that'll help us figure out exactly where the tank's at, right? So we get to the property, we open up the crawl space, we climb on down in there, get the sewer stack open. From there, run the camera into the tank. It goes quite a bit. This old house, I guess, however they wanted to plumb the underground, they did all sorts of twists, turns, made it nice and annoying to have to find where everything was. So we get the camera into the tank, and from there we take the locator and we walk out to it, and the guy is shocked that his tank is directly underneath of the asphalt, which, fair enough. If you are under the assumption that it's in the backyard, that's kind of a problem. So we take the battery out of the camera, take the battery out of the locator, put brand new fresh batteries in there, reset everything to prove the computer's not mistaken. It knows where it is. Turn everything back on, run, or basically go back, look again, and boom, there we go. We're still right underneath of the driveway. Further to prove the point, we took the metal detector and the probe, went over where the neighbor said it was supposed to be. Now, I think what the neighbor had mistaken was the drain fields. So where he had said that the septic tank was, the drain fields were actually at. So once you start probing around, you're starting to hit stone in the trench. And that's just basically how these things work, right? These tanks, they capture the solids from the tank. The liquid will then go to a distribution box, which will then go to the drain fields. And the drain fields are how the liquid is dispersed into the soil. So the next step to figure out what we're going to do here is we got to get to the tank, right? Lord knows how long it's been since this tank's been taken care of before anybody's pumped it, opened it, looked to see are the baffles there. We have to get to it. So we talked to the asphalt guy to see what his suggestion for that would be, to rather than like tearing up the whole driveway and starting over, what he would think would be the easiest way to go. So they saw cut about a 12 by 12 area, bring the excavator in, dig it up. And you put just a metal weight-bearing lid, and then you just repave around it. The problem was that when they did all that, the buyer was a little upset that the driveway had a big old saw cut in it, and that transaction fell through, unfortunately. So the lesson to be learned here is that if you're going to renovate the home, make sure you know where your utilities are, right? Had these guys had this thing scoped, whether it be by us or somebody else to find the tank, they would not have been stuck in the situation of having already shelled out 12 grand for the driveway. Now they have to dig it up again, and they got to put the access on the tank, and then they got to repave it again. So basically they paved the driveway twice for something that they could have just avoided in the first place. So especially now in the modern market, you know, these investors, they're on some thin margins. Some of them are only profiting 20 grand on a property. Yes, I know that sounds like a lot. And yes, I know that people are going to get a little fussy about flippers. That's not the conversation we're having here. We're having a conversation about the profit of it, right? So if you only plan on making $20,000 from the project, and a big issue like this pops up, you just did all that 6 months worth of work for free. And that's not to assume that any other issues might have popped up. For all we know, maybe there was an issue with the roof. Maybe there was an issue with the water heater. A lot of flippers in our area, they don't really check the foundation. Maybe there was a foundation issue. So something like this could have easily snowballed into tens of thousands or more of issues for that property, and they could have lost a ton of money on that transaction. I don't know what the end result was for their profit. I don't know how much they ended up walking away from, but you know, to spend as much money as they did on that driveway and getting everything fixed up for the septic kind of sucks, right? I hope this was valuable. Let me know below. Have you ever accidentally buried your utilities with asphalt? Have you done concrete? Usually it's patios or driveways where people run into issues, but who knows? Maybe there's something unique out there that you've come across that you've done. Let me know below. I'm very curious. If you enjoy content like this, I have videos posted every day on the Little Well and Septic. Hit that like and subscribe button. Till next time, guys.